Welcome back, everybody, to another Digital Gate Studios production. Basil, this one is near and dear to my heart.
To both of our hearts as
Absolutely. Well. If you guys haven't been a prolonged member of the channel, welcome, first of all. Second of all, if you are, if you'll know right out of the gate, for every new format that came out since we started this channel, the Chaosdramon update was like my first video that I would post deck profiles for, because it was like my baby. I love
you were the Chaosdramon guy.
I was that guy at locals, unfortunately. Didn't win all the time.
In the dark days.
Yeah, in the dark days of Chaosdramon. That's when we met. You were playing D-Reaper, and I was still on my Chaosdramon kick.
It's true.
And I loved that EX1, play it for 7, lay it down, and just make your opponent deal with it. So much that when this digivolving method overtook it as far as consistency and playability, I just said, somebody else take this.
This guy started playing all fours.
Yeah.
And all kinds of weird stuff.
But you picked up the mantle and you've ran with it. So show us what you got.
Yeah, we've got Chaosdramon. We've got, obviously, there's just about support in every set. But specifically in RB1 and the starter decks, we got a bunch of pieces that I think were helping a deck that was already pretty strong, already in like the tier 2 kind of range.
Yeah.
But I think it's something that a lot of people aren't playing just because they think Chaosdramon, whatever.
Yeah.
But I think it's a really strong deck, this format.
And the fun thing is all these new pieces, I mean, they weren't super expected. Because normally as a Chaosdramon player, you're like, what are the new cyborgs coming out?
What are the
new
fives?
level 5s? You know, but when you start seeing some of these level 3s and level 4s, you're like, wow, these actually synergize really well. So take it away.
True. We're going to jump in with the Digitama. We've got 4 Doraemon. And the thing about it, this format, is this could go back to Pagumon, and I think it would be perfectly fine. Basically, we're only really drawing off this egg once we go into a level 6. But it also can be activated multiple times, given certain scenarios. Multiple Digivolves into level 6s. If they de-Digivolve a 6, you go back to a 5 and go back to another 6. So it can have a multiple draw, but there are times in this list where you aren't getting up to your 6 from the raising. And so I think there is a consideration for Pagumon in this list. But I'm sticking with the Doraemon for now because for the most part, I want my stuff to live.
Yeah.
Our first new addition from the starter deck,
I love it,
is the starter deck Agumon. This is another card that I wasn't really expecting to go in the deck, just because I was like, well, off of the Doraemon or the Dorumon, we're gaining that memory once we go into our Chaosdramon or our Chaosdramon. So basically, my thought was it's not really replacing that, but the start of main really pushes it over the edge for the Dorumon.
Comes up all the time
if they have a Digimon gain 1. So there are scenarios where you have the Agumon in the raising, and let's say you have an analog man. You can promote and go to 3, which 3 memory at the start of turn for a Chaosdramon player, and you didn't have to play a memory setter, is very, very strong in the deck. As well as when an attack target is switched, gain 1. So that's if you're blocked, or if they block you, you're going to gain 1.
Or raid.
Or any form of attack switching. It's not just blocking.
I found that matchup really fun against Black War Gray. I was playing against a couple friends of the channel last night, and having them raid, gain memory off their Agu, and then my Agu's negate
a lot of people's turns.
Absolutely.
So I've really found to enjoy this card, as well as we're running some more blockers in the 4 and the 5 spot. So this card will come up not only when you're into Chaosdramon and Chaosdramon, but a lot of other points in the match. Another new addition is Espimon from the RB1 set. This is simply, if there's a Tamer in play, gain 2k on your opponent's turn.
So strong for a rookie.
It's a 2k opponent's turn rookie, which there just haven't been. All of the 1k buffs have been on your opponent's turn have been 1k. So that was the Toyagu. You've seen in Craniumon. There's a Karamon that's 1k on your opponent's turn. But this, if there's a Tamer, gain 2k. And the thing about it is, not only are we always hoping to have our Tamer out, I mean, when I play this deck, I'm pretty much hard mulliganing for that analog man.
Yeah.
But almost every deck in the format has a Tamer that they want to play early. So it's almost always going to be live.
And it's also a
cyborg,
Yep.
which has a little bit of synergy, which we'll get into first with the Hagurumon. Just 2, which I know is something that you disagree with. You're a Haguru lover.
I love it.
And I am as well. But I have found that if you run 3 or 4 Hagurumon, you're eventually going to run out of stuff to trash.
Yeah.
And so I opt for just the 2 because I want to. I value the Espimon as well as I also heavily value Chikurimon.
You're a floodgate guy.
Yeah, I'm a floodgate guy. Yeah. Normally this would be some split along the lines of 2 Chikuri and 2 Chumon, but I found Chumons specifically being 1K
terrible
is pretty brutal. This format,
yellow eggs kill it.
Yeah, yellow eggs are killing it. But the play cost floodgate I found to be super important. Obviously, Royal Knights and Blue Flare and Belphemon, and Death X, a lot of play cost reduction in this format. So I really valued Chikurimon. And that's it for the rookie lineup, just 10, and I think that's perfectly fine. If you wanted to switch this at all, you could go up on the Espimon or the Haguru or the Chikuri. You could throw back in that Chu if you're finding a lot of blue matchup or a lot of like Bloomlord it's really strong in. Or if you wanted to go completely into the memory gain, you could replace any of these with the Dorumon and just go into a full memory gain lineup. But this is what I ended up rolling with.
I like it.
In the level 4, we're going to start off with the Hover Espimon.
Whoa!
If you've watched recent Two Tamers talks or the Jumbo Gamamon deck profile, you've heard Jordan talk many good words about this card. It was one of those things where I was like, what does it do? Oh, that seems okay. But then you read it again and again. It's like, wow, this card is very, very strong.
The fact that it's when digivolving and on play is what takes it over the top for
me. It reveals an opponent's security. If it's a Digimon, gain 1. If it's not, draw 1. So automatically it can be a 1 to Evo or 4 to hard play. Then you can put it to the top or bottom. So one of the strengths of this card is a lot of the times Machinedramon's going to fight to stabilize the board and then slowly beat your opponent down. And so one of the counters to that is, big problems in the opponent's security. So that's options. Obviously, the EX1 and the BT12 Machinedramon don't have protection. So if they get bounced or bottom deck, it's a catastrophe. So Hover Espimon can deal with the first card in security being that. Additionally, if it's a Tamer, something like a TK Kari or one of these
Marcus.
other Tamers, or Marcus, something that really does damage over time, the longer they're on the board, the more value your opponent's getting. If you put them to the bottom, they do nothing for your opponent.
Yeah.
So it's a very, very strong. And on top of that, it's a blocker. If there's a Tamer in play, that can't be deleted by effects.
Yep.
So that's really strong for your purple matchup. It's really strong for the if there are any other players playing the black matchup. Any effect deletion, stopping that is amazing.
It's huge against Death X too, because you leave that out as your lowest level, and then it just whiffs every turn.
Yeah, as well as it pairs great with our rookies here. So if you block with a 3K Hover Espimon and gain 1, or a 7K level 4 blocker, is very, very strong. This card is extremely slept on right now.
The reason why I think that's so valuable in this deck too is, one, like you said, it's really sticky, and so it will probably be there on your next turn if you hard play it for possibly 4. But the thing about Machinedramon, with all the pieces that it's gotten, is that all the Digivolvings of the level 5s have really ramped up in the last few sets. So now we have 2 level 5s that when Digivolving, de-Digivolve. You have searchers, you have more blockers than ever, we have jamming, you have all kinds of really good level 5s that are just good on their own.
Yeah. So the Hover Espimon, like I said, it's something great. Like, it's one of those cards that even if you have a rookie on turn 1, sometimes you'll go rookie and then hard play the Hover Espimon just for that on play.
And it's a cyborg.
And it's a cyborg just like his former part here. The next 2 we've got is the Tankmon. This is our 1 to Evo Turbo card. So the list that I had been running for a while, this was 3 Tankmon, and then the Hover Espi was 3 Numemon. And I think that is still fine because the Numemon gives you the option for a 1 to Evo in the raising, whereas Hover Espimon does not give you that option. I just value the security advantage that the Hover Espimon gets. But if you wanted to put in, like I said, more of the Tankmon here or more of the Numemon, I think that would be perfectly fine as well.
I love Tankmon.
But I really enjoy Tankmon. It just helps you get from, like, if they leave a rookie on the board and give you a little bit too much memory, or you have a boost or an Analog Man or something like that, they could find themselves facing a Chaosdramon that turn.
Well, my favorite part is pairing it with the Agumon, because you promote, you gain that free memory off the Agumon, and you basically are getting into a 4 for nothing.
Yeah, exactly. And we've got 2 of the Guardramon.
Still can't find a way to get rid of that card.
Yeah, this card gets replaced in BT15, the Pokemon set with the new Guardramon.
Yeah.
But it does come up again. It pairs really well with our inheritables here, as well as pitch 1 to draw 2 on swing can really help you refill your hand when you're into that first Machine Dramon / Chaos Dramon.
A 6K blocker at level 4 is not terrible.
Yeah, it's got good stats. And then one last level 4 in the deck, and that is Sephirothmon. I originally wasn't running any hybrids in the deck, but I think I switched to this for 2 reasons. The first, I guess I switched to it for 3 reasons. The first reason is that it pairs really well with our Agumon and Espimons, so it can be a good early play as well. So if we can force something to attack, activate our Agumon, it sort of pseudo chokes our opponent, gives them a little bit less resources. The second reason is it's hybrid for game, which is obviously very strong, we all know. The third reason is it's very important in the Hunters matchup is to get rid of your Analog Man so that they can't tuck your Chaosdramon underneath a Tamer with the Superior mode. And so the Sephirothmon is sort of an anti-Hunters technology.
Okay.
And so that's why I ended up putting it in. But like I said, this 4 lineup is very malleable. Everything you see here is good, but it could go up or down depending on your preference, as well as that Numemon, that vanilla 3 to play, 1 to Evo Digimon. That's it for the 4s. We've got 8 here, and I think that's perfectly right ratio.
And now for the part everyone wants to see.
Yes, the Cyborg. So we're going to start off with the 2 ofs, and it is the BT8 Metal Gray. This card is incredible.
Mandatory 2 of.
You got to play 2 of this card. It de-digivolves and deletes a 3K. It's very, very strong, as well as it lets our machine swing over stuff, which is very important for specifically the Royal Knights matchup.
And Belphemon.
But the reason I originally put this in was because the Royal Knights deck basically plays 1 Royal Knight per turn.
Yeah.
And if you have a big enough Machine Dramon with the Metal Gray underneath it, you can end their game basically by every time they play a Royal Knight, swing over it and kill it.
Yeah, because most of them are only 11 or 12K. Yeah.
And
we get bigger.
We'll get into our next 2 of. Just kidding. This is the only 2 of that I have in the deck.
I know it is.
And the interesting thing about that is there are a lot of very good level 5s. But I've just went super hard for the toolbox style of the deck. So the only one I found room for 2 of is here. I will mention sort of cards that I believe could be 2 ofs, but the only one I value the most is the BT8 Metal Gray. So the first synergy with the Metal Gray is the BT1 Metal Gray and the BT6 Mega Dramon.
Full on offense DP.
So this is +3 and +2.
Yep.
Obviously, we could go to 2 of the BT1 Metal Gray, but the reason I don't like that is because Chaosdramon is 12K, and so if we can get both of these with a Metal Gray, we can swing over a Death X and live. And 15K is actually a pretty relevant threshold in this format.
Yeah.
Quartzmon, Death X, there's almost all the level 7s are probably going to be around 15K.
Well, even the new Omnimon's only 14, right?
New Omnimon is 14, which would be... we would swing over with just the 1. But I like the option to be able to have that 17K Chaosdramon because basically if we can get this lineup, any Digimon that is in the battle area is going to die, which I like a lot.
Yep.
We have our next lineup is our sort of blocker reboot lineup.
Okay.
The first is the EX1 Metal Tyranno. This is the best early game reboot cyborg because it's going to mill 3 and then grab a Chaosdramon or a Machinedramon. The only trouble I've found with this and the other EX1 cards is that they will mill your analog man.
Yep.
So that is tough, but it's going to help you more than it's going to hurt you. As well as I value reboot very heavily in this deck. So we are running 3 instances of reboot. The second is the Gigadramon. This is another very good card. Swinging with a jamming and then evoing into a Machinedramon and rebooting is a lot of pressure on your opponent.
Yep.
As well as it's the best to pair with the Gardramon, so you can jam, pitch 1, draw 2, and then evo and reboot. Yep. So very, very strong.
When I'm picking the order that goes underneath my machine or my chaos, that one's always on the top in case they de-digivolve.
Yeah, this is very good in that instance as well. And then I actually opted for the ST1 Andromon.
I love that card.
This card was one that I was very surprised with in the pre-release format of the structure decks. It's on Digivolving, De-Digivolve 1, and then Inherited Reboot. Just another card that you don't even really feel that bad promoting a level 4 and then just evoing this, and then that's your whole turn.
Yeah.
Because it can really screw up a lot of decks. De-Digivolve's obviously extremely strong. And so originally this was 2 Gigadramon and 1 Metal Tyranno, but I think the Andromon has won me more games than it's lost me.
For sure. Interesting that they didn't make that a blocker inherit, because Andromon's always traditionally been a blocker.
Well, speak of the devil, and there he shall appear.
But one of the best alt-arts in the deck.
Yeah, the EX1 Andromon's amazing card. Same effect as the Metal Tyranno. Again, it mills stuff that's important, but sometimes it mills 2 cyborgs and grabs you a Chaosdramon. Yeah. It's amazing. And then the EX4 Metal Greymon.
That was a surprising one that I had to take a second look at when I saw it in the deck.
Yeah, don't worry about all this text. This is all about the Omnimon deck from EX4. It's blocker, inherited blocker.
Yeah.
So that's sort of why we play it.
I see it. I see it now.
Our RIP to the starter deck Megadramon.
Oh, I know. We just got the foil reprint.
Yeah, we got the foil reprint in RB1, and this is just a better version.
Just power crept it out. Yep.
And it looks like we've got just a few more level 5s. The first is Megadramon. This is Security Attack +1 from the EX1 set.
That's the second best part about that card.
Yeah, as well as on play, delete 2 Floodgates. Yeah. Which is very, very good.
Also good. I used to use that a lot against like Bloomlord and stuff, because you can delete 2 red veggies. You can delete lots of level 4s with that. As
well as there will be a lot of instances where you give your opponent 4 memory, because you on turn 1 you evo into a rookie and then you hard play Analog Man. A lot of decks will take that opportunity to evo in the back and then play 2 Searchers.
Yeah.
And they put you back to 2. But then you delete both of them, and then next turn you're threatening a Chaosdramon.
Yep. So
this card is very strong. Yep. Our next introduction from the starter deck is the Metal Greymon.
Love it.
This is Volcanomon, but it costs 1 less to evo, and it has 1,000 less DP.
Seems like a deal.
I played the Volcanomon because I really like to have an aggressive list, but this one's just 3 to evo, which I value a little bit more than the 9k blocker. As well as with the Espimon, a 10k level 5 blocker is pretty hard for your opponent to deal with. We've got a couple more level 5s. The first is the BT11 Metal Tyranno.
That's a tough one to not go to.
This card almost certainly should be at 2. It's a very, very strong effect. Yeah. It's one of those ones that has a great on play and when digivolving. So if you have an Analog Man, you can suspend something and it won't reactive. So even if you're giving your opponent a lot of memory, if you stun that Digimon and then you can go into Chaosdramon or Machinedramon the next turn and then delete it. It's a very strong effect, as well as the inheritable skill, Trash the Security when you delete a Digimon in battle.
I've used that to save me a turn against a Quartzmon before. It's really strong.
It's very, very strong, as well as we're really going in, leaning hard into the kill Digimon side of things with this list. So this very well could be a 2 of. But I
Hard to find
really
many.
value blocker and reboot. I really value this DP, so just the one Metal Tyranno. The next is the Metal Mamemon, the last of the 3 from the EX1 set. Again, the same skill, but then when attacking, delete a play cost of 5. Play cost of 5 is pretty relevant this format. A lot of the level 4s cost 5 to play. So anytime that they are putting a level 4 on top of a searcher that plays a rookie or a tamer for free, or early promoting a level 4 for a little bit of offense, Metal Mame is going to put those dreams to rest. I could see moving away from this Metal Mame for any of the other one-ofs you see here, but I just can't get away from it. And our last level 5 is the Megadramon.
You had to wait for the end for that one.
Yeah, this is our Tamer hate in the deck. This is another one that probably should be at 2.
That's 2 in my list. I love that card.
This card is very, very good. I was explaining to Jesse, the reason that I only put it to 1 is I feel like we have enough answers to Hunters with the Sephirothmon, as well as it has the higher potential to do nothing compared to anything else in this list. A lot of decks simply just don't run 3-cost Tamers.
Yeah.
Shine Grey doesn't run 3-cost Tamers. Bloomlord doesn't run 3-cost Tamers.
Royal Knights.
Royal Knights doesn't run 3-cost Tamers. They don't even really run 3-cost Digimon
Not
most
really,
of the time.
yeah.
So it has the highest potential to do nothing out of all of these, but it also has the highest potential to win you games. And the decks that really rely on 3-cost Tamers, that's Ulforce, Hunters, Crossheart, stuff like that. Alphamon, it's very strong in those matchups.
Cool Boys.
Cool Boy. There's a lot of good Tamers that cost 3 or less. If you're seeing a lot of those or predicting to see a lot of those, bump up the Megadramon.
My favorite part is it's also when digivolving it does the same thing.
So if they've got another, like, oh, I have another one in the hand, well, that's going to die too.
Yeah.
So 14 on the level 5s. I think that is my magic number. I would say if you want to give this list a try but don't like the level 5 ratio, stick with 14, but then switch some of them out. Obviously, if you don't want as much security attack and want more utility, put in more Megatramon or more trashing. If you don't think the DP is as important, you can move around there. But I really like, the 5 reboot blockers. The Metal Gray, I wouldn't change at all. But other than that, it's Machinedramon. You can
do whatever you want. Yeah.
You can do it however you
Choose your own adventure.
So we'll get into the big bad. The first we're going to start with is the Chaosdramon.
Yep.
The Chaosdramon is the most important card in this version of the deck because we're obviously going to be building up to like either a level 5 in the raising or a 4 in the raising and then go 5 to 6. It de-digivolves 3, which is insane this format. It's going to take their Shine Gray down to an Agumon, and then we're going to delete it, There's a lot of ways to deal with that stuff. And then it can't be deleted by effects or bounce to hand or bottom deck.
Which is really strong
Once
with all the blue
or
stuff
twice
going on.
or sometimes 3 or 4 times, depending on the stack. Very, very strong card. Got to keep that one at the 4 of. Then we'll get into Machinedramons. The first is the BT11 Machinedramon. I have a love-hate relationship with this card.
Same.
You've seen a Chaosdramon list on this channel from me before, where I talk about how I hate this card. I didn't want to play it. The reason is like if it gets bounced or if it gets bottom decked, it just feels so crappy.
Yeah.
But the reality is it's our best Machinedramon to see early. And so, like I said, if you build up to a level 5 in the raising and you don't have your trash properly set up or you don't have an analog man or whatever the case, you don't even really feel bad going into this because if you don't activate it's on deletion, it doesn't really matter because you milled 5, you put a bunch of level 5s in the trash, you maybe found an analog man, and you're set up to go from there. So I think the on deletion of this card is a super big win condition. But if you don't get it, it's not necessarily the end of the world.
My favorite part about that card is, I know it's kind of a spoiler coming up, but with Chaos X, when you cover that up, you still get that on deletion.
It's true. It's true.
So, a lot of people don't see that coming, and you can really take a game by doing that.
And we've got 2 of the boy,
Okay.
the EX1 machine.
Yep.
This card is very strong in this format specifically. Can't be DP reduced.
Yep.
It's very important for your Shine Gray matchup to see this card. And then obviously if we can play it with the Machinedramon for free, that's great. But if not, just playing, like Jesse said, playing this for 7 and make your opponent deal with it.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the bounce in the format, you know, a lot of the bottom deck in the format is a lot less than it used to be.
Yeah.
And a lot of the format is deletion or DP minus. And so a lot of the times they won't be able to get through it. And if you play a Machinedramon for 7 and your opponent doesn't deal with it, their game is over.
Yeah.
Because then you're gonna have have a bunch of follow-ups.
You can chaos on top of it for 1, tuck 3 more. Yeah.
We've got 1 Chaosdramon X. This card is another card that I was really looking forward to when we first got it. But the more you play with it, the more it feels kind of clunky.
It's so bad as your only level
if it's
6.
your only level 6, it's basically useless because it gains all of the effects of the Machinedramons and Chaosdramons underneath it, which is nice. The thing that's good about it is if they do have an out to it, they're going to trash the security on their way out, as well as once per turn start a main, you can tuck 1 from trash.
Yep.
So
which synergizes really well with that egg if you can actually get that stack
it's true.
off.
If you can get a Chaosdramon and then go into Chaosdramon X, you can Analog Man, start a main, pitch 1, Chaosdramon X, start a main, tuck 1, and then draw 1.
Yeah.
So it's
good.
Pretty strong combo.
That's what I found in this deck is you will get to points where you have to slow down with your draw because you can deck out in this deck
You
very
will run out
easily.
of cards, especially with the BT12 machine. And that's it for Digimon. In the level 7 slot, I've seen people play Death X, which is obviously very strong.
I run 1.
I've seen people play Quartzmon, which is also very strong.
Interesting.
But I think it gets away from the core of the deck, which
too.
I don't like to do pretty much in any deck.
Yeah.
I like to identify the theme and what the deck's trying to accomplish and stick with that.
I run the Death X as an option more than a level 7.
It's true. Death, and nobody was like, oh, why would you
do
do
that? Yeah.
It's a good card.
It's a good card.
But we'll get into the Tamer, the Analog Man, an automatic 4 of, start a main, pitch 1, gain 1, draw 1.
That's not going to be Kazu?
It's not going to be Kazu. Kazu and Ultimate Cup, if you're still trying to make that
4-man's
work.
analog, yeah.
But anyhow, and then it can also act as your pseudo blocker. That's why we're down on the Andromon and the Metal Greymon, just because we basically have 6 blocker inheritables in the deck at this point. It's going to change even more when we get Marvin Jackson.
And with Analog Man, a tip for playing this deck, never scoop with cards in security. Because there's always potential for another Analog Man to come out of that security
you can
another
create
redirect.
a bunch of blockers out of nowhere.
Yes.
We've got 2 Black Memory Boost. I love Black Memory Boost. I love Memory Boosts in all my decks. I think they're a very big bonus to consistency. If your hand is a Chaosdramon, an Analog Man, and a Black Memory Boost, and then like the rest is air, I keep it. I have turn 1 Analog Man, turn 2 Black Memory Boost, and I'll go from there. The only problem with this card is it does bottom deck our Analog Mans.
And 2 or 3 of your cyborgs.
And
3 cyborgs.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah. That's not bad.
It's not that
pretty
bad.
good. Pretty good.
I like the Black Memory Boost. The question has been brought up to me, will I go to Black Trainings when they come out?
That's hard.
And I'm not so sure because only searching 2 is pretty tough in the deck, but grabbing the Analog Man is good. So we'll play around with that and get back to you.
And raw memory is better in this deck, I think, than Digivolution Reduction.
It's true. But for now, we've got the 2 Black Memory Boost.
I like it.
Very good card. We've got 2 Attack of the Heavy Mobile Digimon.
Okay.
I like this card a lot. It's kind of like the hybrid. It's your Blitz for game.
It's your Blitz Omni for game.
As well as some people will see you have an empty board, like you promoted a rookie and put a Hover SP on top of it. And they outed that somehow. You have an empty board. They think they can go into the battle area and be safe. You can drop Attack the Heavy Mobile, put Metal Gray, Megadramon underneath it, and wipe their board.
Chaos, yeah.
Yeah. I think it's really, really strong,
Super
well as it's another one of your finishers. You can surprise a lot of people with dropping this and then wiping 3 security and then blitzing for game.
Yep.
I really like this card, as well as out of security, pitch one of your level 6s and delete anything that they have. Really strong card.
And
last card in the deck is Trident Arm from the starter deck. Originally, this was DG Dimension, which is a card that I love. I've put in all my black decks. Trident Arm is one that I'm not entirely sold on yet. The benefit to it is that it's a little bit better in the hand than DG Dimension is, just because it's a very tall meta rather than a wide meta. So you can D-Digivolve 3 their thing and then force it to attack. And with all of the blocker support in this deck, that can be pretty much D-Digivolve 3 and then delete something.
Pretty good.
Which is pretty nice, as well as out of security D-Digivolve 3. It's a little bit stronger in this format than the DG Dimension, I believe. But this could be any kill spell. It could be another black memory boost or something along those lines. But the Trident Arm has surprised me in a lot of matchups. A lot of tall stacks going down to a level 4.
2 questions to ask, because they'll probably be asked in the comments.
Okay.
You have 2 machine options that you don't run. Ultimate Connection. Why no Ultimate Connection?
The Ultimate Connection I moved away from for the same reason. I went down to 2 Hagurumon.
Okay.
You run out of stuff to trash a lot of the times. And so Ultimate Connection is really nice. It's kind of like a pseudo ice wall out of security.
Yeah, I found it better in
ways.
security than anything else. So.
But basically, any turn that we'd be Ultimate Connectioning, we'd rather just play an Analog Man, play a Black Memory Boost, or play Hagurumon.
Okay.
And
Super Eradication Attack.
Yeah, Super Eradication Attack is another interesting one. The thing about it is, because we've moved away from the Chaosdramon X more, I feel that you don't need to play the Super Eradication Attack.
That was kind of the combo,
much.
right? You kill your own thing, you trash their security, kill something big of theirs, right?
Yeah, I think if you leaned more into the Chaosdramon side of things and a little bit more away from the Machinedramon side of things, I think it would be good. As well as it doesn't work with the BT12 machine unless you have a red source.
Oh, yeah.
Which is kind of weird to get in this deck. But for those of you who are still running like the Guilmon draw engine, you might look towards Super Eradication Attack. Or if you're running more Chaos X's,
I actually think it ignores colors, doesn't it? Doesn't it ignore colors if you have level 6 with the machine? I think so.
Let us know in the comments.
I think it does. But regardless, it has the same security as Attack the Heavy Mobile, right?
It does. Yeah. I think that card's perfectly well and good if you build around it.
Yeah.
But this is what I'm rolling with.
I like it. I've built a version based off this, and it's done really well. So thank you, Basil, once again for bringing your. We had to get the update because there's just so many pieces that
it's a lot of new stuff.
Yeah, we just didn't see coming. So and it's worked out really well. So let us know what you think in the comments, and like, comment, subscribe. Check us out on our weekly podcast, 2 Tamers Talk, and we'll see you in the next one.